Oh, live now. Hey, we are live now.
מתחיל. מתחיל?
שודר ביוטיוב.
הלו? למה לא שומעים אותי?
שומעים אותה. אוקיי, כן, קריבה, אפשר להתחיל, רוצים לחכות?
הלו? שומעים אותי?
כן, שומעים אותה.
Hello to all our
היא אמרת
participants.
להתחיל?
לא.
אני אומר כך, אם אפשר להתחיל או כאילו...
I can hear. כן. Hi, we can hear you. אז אם we can hear you, אפשר להתחיל. Hello to all our participants and welcome to our virtual world ecosystem presentation. My name is Dani Seryoti, and along with me is my colleague Ori Shapira. We are very excited to be here with you, but before we will start, I would like to point out that Eureka World is an educational open simulator grid. Eureka World vision. We create human companionship in an enriched environment. We hope, Ori and I, that by the end of this lecture, we will elaborate and demonstrate what it means. And if you want to know more of who we are, please let me introduce us. Together with me is Ori Shapira, as I mentioned, and he is founder and head of pedagogy and technology. Ori is a high-tech entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in educational technologies and 9 years of research and development of virtual worlds. And I am Dani Seryoti, head instructor and learning material developer. I am an instructional designer with vast experience in innovative training systems and learning platforms, as well as development of computerized learning system, as well as developing training in virtual reality. Here you can see our module of 3D 3C, and let me explain it more to you. Eureka World Perception of Teaching 3D 3C allows quality simulation of learning patterns for students in the 21st century. The 3D 3C perception is based on learning in a three-dimensional environment under these three principles: creation, commerce, and community. Let's talk about creation a little bit. Why? Because learning and content development are achieved through creating, combined with three-dimensional design, research, project management, and integrating tools. Commerce. Why? Because the global principle that a design product is singular and can be replicated will allow an exchange of objects between the students and teachers or other actors, which supports the principles of the community. Why community? Because learning is achieved through shared creation on the same product, in real life and regardless the student's physical location, and the end results are open for the benefit of the learning community, and that creates a deep connection. Let's zoom in a little bit about the advantages. It gives us a high level of tangible learning experience and a wide array of teaching methodologies, including gamification, project-based learning, shared learning, teamwork, orientation of technologies, and so much more. This vast variety of skills is expressed through personal coordination with the students' needs. It provides different students opportunities to express their different skills. I want to share now with you how it all starts. And please try to think about the following questions. I want to share with you, and I want you to think how a groundbreaking thinking has created this growing and beautiful community of creativity and innovation, and how these students that were driven by the passion and by pleasure, along with their motivated principle, led to a unique entrepreneurial action. And how leadership is enacted, with one entrepreneur dreamer who was leading the implementation of a single activity, of entire strategy, in order to establish an entrepreneurial culture in the education ecosystem. It all began in 2015, when Ori Shapira, that as I mentioned, he is one of the founders of Eureka World, was teaching three-dimensional in one of the schools in Israel. Ori saw the enthusiasm of his students, and along with the school principal, who by the way was a very motivated principal, welcomed the idea of developing and creating in 3D. All of this led to forward thinking and creating the unique learning concept of the Eureka World. I think it is very important for us as an actors that we are involved in the entrepreneurial education. It is very important for us to ask and to understand how and why this environment has emerged. In this paper, we will provide you answers to some key questions. What is the Eureka World perception of teaching? And what does the ecosystem of Eureka World look like? To answer to this question, we provide concrete tools and a framework which allows a variety of actors to create or transform their respective learning environments in a self-directed process. We depict the single competence and actors involved in this ecosystem and explore the dynamic potential of their interaction. And if you want to know what is the objective is to enable leading teachers, entrepreneurship educators, or policymakers to design and reflect on a learning environment that fits best with their individual aspiration. And we are giving them this encouraging environment. This paper offers guidance for reflection of the Eureka World's ecosystem, which is unique and different from any other, giving the wide variety of ages. I will now try to explain more what ecosystem is really all about. And if I will try to find a definition, and if I will try to define, I will say that ecosystem is a complex network and interconnecting system. Others will define it as a system or network of interacting parts. It is important to understand that it's things or objects in one single environment that have to interact and connect with one another. Ultimately, to create an effective ecosystem, educational resources need to seamlessly work together. I will try to zoom in now about the principles of ecosystem, or at least the most fundamental principles of ecosystem. So one of the fundamental principles is interdependence, and that means that something that happens in one part of the system affects another part of the systems. Another fundamental principle of ecosystem that they are designed to adapt and thrive. If I will reflect it to the world of education, Ecosystems may be defined as the full variety of actors and all non-living elements in use for education through teaching and learning. This full variety of actors participating from inside of the school, and it can be teachers or principals, students, and other staff, as well as the population outside schools, entrepreneurs, associations, institutions, parents, families, and so on. And of course, we have to take into consideration also the non-living elements inside this milieu, and that defines by all the available material means, such as building, classroom, IT resources, and so on. All of them are influenced the nature of interaction of populations. All these populations are connected through networks. They form together a meta population and inhabit the same milieu. To fully understand learning ecosystem inside and outside of a school, we need to gain in a deep understanding of how they function with their respective contexts. It is vital to us to see the dynamics between mutual influences on each other. Each of these parts will connect you with specific actors and means. But we have to understand that only when considering and connecting all of the parts, you may create a complete living picture of ecosystem. I'm now taking it to our Eureka Worlds, and I proudly will say that the Eureka World is an interconnecting system which educational resources, as I mentioned before, such as teachers and students and mentors, as well as the material means, are seamlessly work together. Our platform is an ecosystem, and that means that every element inside and outside schools affects another parts. I have reviewed and explained the educational ecosystem in a virtual world. And before I will invite Ori to elaborate on how we adapted this concept in Eureka, I would like to ask if you have any questions for us. Can you please repeat the question? I'm sorry, we just didn't hear your question. If you can please repeat it.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Ori, and if there are no any other questions, I will proceed from here. Please put the question in chat. Yes, thank you. It will be really help if it would be a question in chat. Okay, so hi again. I'm Ori, one of the founders of Eureka World. First of all, let's speak a little bit about the ecosystem. When we speak about ecosystem, okay, we are talking about a full system that include, first of all, the students, of course, and then the teachers, but also the schools as a full system, municipalities, academic institutes, parents as part of the community, non-profit organization, commercial companies, government and research and evaluation projects. This ecosystem, just a second, I must stop for a minute. I have a music in my ears and I need to understand where it's come from. לכם את המוזיקה? עכשיו לא, זה מתוך העולם, כי כיביתי את המיקרופון. זה מתוך העולם. Just a second. Okay, now I can hear myself. Sorry for that. I had too much music around me. So the idea is that the ecosystem, as Dana explained earlier, include every part of the education system, and it's allow, once it's in place, to survive itself and to feed itself with content, project, and work. So a little bit about the numbers, how this ecosystem is look like in numbers. We have now in Israel over 100 schools that actually work almost every day on the virtual world platform. More than 12,000 members, 1,900 unique students and teachers every month inside the system. By now, we have over 270 teachers that already learned and trained how to work and teach in virtual world. More than 3,000 content units that already been developed by the different parts of the ecosystem. 5 major municipalities that support process, 4 NGOs, and of course the government, the Ministry of Education. As a first step, we understood that in order to put the ecosystem in place, we need to a little bit extend to verify the offering we have with the virtual world, and we step into the making area. Okay, so we combined the 3D printing into our work. In this picture, you can see one of the projects that we really like to do with the students while they are building their vehicle inside the world. We are printing this vehicle in 3D printing and keep working on the vehicle, like creating axes and discussing the way inside wheel and outside wheel is working in the real life, and walking back and forth from the virtual world into the 3D printing until we have a fully working model both inside the real world, inside the virtual world, and in the actual world or the real world. Another way of combining the making environment and the outside world into the our work is connecting through Arduino controller. One of the projects that we are doing with the children around in Israel is to create a wind vane in a making mechanism. It might be a 3D printing or any other way of making to create a wind vane. We are connecting the wind vane into the Arduino controller, and through the Arduino controller, it's connected to the virtual world. And at the end of the day, we have a sales raise in the game based on the wind measured outside the class. So we actually can live inside the virtual world impacted by the outside world of the class. One more combination that we are usually doing in this process, something very common on Second Life, is doing a video magazine based on things that happened inside the world. We have a group of students that actually going every week to a different project in different school as an avatar and making a video news based on this project, interview the avatar who building this project, and so on, editing it. It's not a live video, it's editing it and publish it as a video. Okay. The next step was to build a really support for ecosystem. We understood that we must aim to create the ecosystem. We must work in creating ecosystem if we want that the 3D 3C environment, the virtual world, will become actually a way of learning inside the schools. And we actually build our strategic towards building the educational 3D 3C ecosystem. So the first step, of course, as always, is to connect the teachers into the process. The teachers who actually teaching inside the classes. The connection of teachers done in two ways, more or less, actually more than that. First of all, the way of creating content by the teacher. Sorry for that. Here you can see a project called Historica. Was developed by a teacher who teaches historic program for 6th grade in schools. She actually built a magnificent project about ancient Greece, covering most of the 6th grade program in historic in Israel, and she's become, except of content partner, also business partner. Today we are selling her program to other schools, and she earns some of the money on the project that she developed inside the Eureka World. Another program that was developed by teacher is for math in 6th grade as well. A huge game of Labyrinth developed by one teacher in Israel with her class. Her class helped her to build this program, and today it's free program that open for every math teacher in Israel. Sorry for a minute. Okay. Just a second. Sorry for that. I skipped one of the slides. Probably technical issue with the HUD. So you don't have the slide, but I will speak a little bit about that. Okay, one of the major issues that we realized that we must develop in Eureka World is a full management system that support the teacher. In most cases, virtual worlds are a very nice social game, social environment, magnificent lifetime environment, but less focus on managing the teacher need. So we actually developed another layer of management that helped the teacher to control his class. It starts with a bulk registration, which allowed the teacher to register all his class in one time, and it's very important not to wait a lot until all the children in the class putting their account in place. We also added the ability to manage the permission of the students on a bulk basis, on a big numbers through a web environment, so the teacher can plan his group and control his class before the lesson. A very detailed statistic information which allowed the teacher present and understand what his student is doing inside the virtual world. The ability to upload objects through a web, not directly to the world, but through the web, more friendly-wise GUI for most of the teacher, and the most important one is web-based content updates. We allow teachers today to update their missions. It allows teacher to update their content on the website, on the virtual world through the website. Okay. The second step was to put the PBL, project-based learning, at the center of the.
Can I ask what virtual world are you doing?
And okay, I'm assuming you are asking which kind of virtual world. Basically, we are developing our own grid. It's based on Open Simulator. It's Eureka World. It's a grid of Open Simulator, focusing solely on education stuff. And there are a lot of development that we added to the original Open Simulator engine. I hope that.
He's asking, can I ask virtual world program you are using?
I think I answered the question. Yes. Okay. Okay. So the second step was moving. The second step was moving to the PBL, project-based learning idea. You're probably familiar with it's the basic, probably, of learning in a virtual world, but it's not the easy way for teachers to work on. So we put a lot of effort to educate the teacher how to work in project-based learning and to allow the students to be part of the content development chain. Just a few very small examples. This is one project we did with 7th and 8th grade in Israel, designing a greenhouse, sustainable house. While during building this project, they are learning most of the materials they need in science in 7th grade. And the nice in this project that each greenhouse that was finished and was in good shape and level become another piece of content for the next year of students to learn about existence and how we can protect our environment. Another project is community cafe. It was a project that was done with 8th grade here in Israel. Each group built a nice community cafe. How community should work outside the door. How community, they put a lot of effort about making connection between the different visitors inside the cafe. Just to mention, this group specifically is working already for 2 years in the virtual world. The last project I will demonstrate in the PBL arena is Prime Minister's House project we did in Israel, and through building the Prime Minister's house, they learn whatever need to be done on the previous Prime Ministers in Israel, on one hand, and on the other hand, again, we have today a big exhibition of Prime Minister's houses for other students to come and learn. One of the important steps in creating an ecosystem was to put the academic as part of the process. And I'm not talking about only as a researcher, but actually to integrate academic institutes as part of the ecosystem. Today we are in Israel have the two biggest colleges. It's the Beit Berl and Seminar Kibbutzim, as actually teaching and learning inside virtual worlds, learning how to use it, examine it, research it, and becoming part of the value chain. Those two colleges are also in charge on qualified teachers. So we are quite sure that each teacher that will come out of this institute will be much more qualified to work in virtual world in 3D, 3C environment, and will have all the know-how and understanding of the uniqueness of this environment. The next level was to take municipalities into the ecosystem. The municipalities were very important for us because, first of all, they have a lot of power in the educational system, and secondly, they have most of the budgets, or the free budget at least, in Israel. And the municipality has a different perspective and different needs from separate schools. So what you see now is the first project we did on municipality level in Haifa in Israel. It was actually building Haifa miniatures, Haifa in virtual world. The very important achievement in this project was that it was developed by 10 different schools with over 170 students working on the same project at the same time for a period of 5 months. We actually built a very strong network of school and students inside Haifa for a significant period of time, and this project is by now continue for 3 years. So we have now students that are in the third year of this project, keep understanding, keep learning the virtual world, keep moving into a more and more complicated environment, but at the same time building a full municipality network of students who are researching, learning, and playing inside the environment. The other example is Shoam City, which is a magnificent building of another city in Israel that encourage the students to build educational game inside the city, and the municipality is helping other schools come to play in this game as a municipality game, as something that unique for the Shoam perception of education. And again, it's something that made a small ecosystem inside the city for virtual world. The third step for that approach was to create a hackathon, or 3D-thon actually. One of the most important issues was to give principals, municipalities, students to come to one place and to show what are their abilities and what they can do. And we are doing a 3D-thon. It's a hackathon of 24 hours that children all around Israel coming with the teachers and developing educational game. In the last time we had like 200 different students and parents. It's one of the places where the parents come into the picture and helping the children and understanding the children's 3D works with teachers and with schools. Around 30 schools were part of this 3D-thon. And beside the really development and heavy development of new content for the virtual world, it actually become kind of competition game and encouraging different municipalities and schools to dive into the virtual world and start working on this environment. The next step was to encourage different NGOs to be part of this ecosystem. These NGOs, non-profit organizations, give different way of looking on the environment, on the educational environment, different resources, and different credibility for the environment. And once we succeed to move into this arena of NGO, we succeed to break through a lot of different content, different arena, different knowledge we didn't have earlier. And one of the projects we are doing one of the big projects we are doing with the NGOs is with mental disordered people that preparing themselves to work in real life outside their environment, in a real workplace as a life skills. And we're actually doing a role playing with them to prepare them to social meeting, to what actions they are expecting to have in the real life. And the last break in the puzzle was to put the government inside the ecosystem, to bring the Ministry of Education into the ecosystem as a final approval for the approach of 3D 3C, and as a final green light for a lot of schools that they can work in this system or in this 3D 3C perception and speed up their gamification approach. So we developed so far 3 programs directly with the Ministry of Education. The first one was the social gym. It's actually a game for social skills for talented students. It was developed for a year with the Ministry of Education, and in the next year it will be deployed for schools by Ministry of Education based on virtual world. And the next program was Survivals. It's a program for science for 6th and 7th and 8th grade based on again existence and environmental research. It's a full program that was developed with the financed and developed with the Ministry of Education, and by that they put their interest in the virtual world. And again, this program as well will be deployed next year as an official program here in Israel. And just to summarize, or not summarize, but to put everything in context, it's important to us to work on verified pedagogic approaches to support all this ecosystem. So today we are supporting, of course, first of all, project-based learning and problem-based learning. This is almost the obvious one for us in virtual world. Also role-playing, as I explained, and learning by creation, which is probably the most important step we did here in education in Israel, gaming the education simulation, and we are doing our first trials in MOOCs, which is part of the goals of the Ministry of Education here in Israel. So just to put some of the issues that we are dealing with in order to make this ecosystem works and grow rapidly. So first of all, we need to get to high level of exposure. We're doing it with all the channels we know. It's important that schools and teachers will be familiar with this approach. We must, and we succeed to do that, keep the cost effective for schools, so they have a cheap and easy way to entrance to virtual world. To educate the educators. This is one of our main issue, to change teachers' approach and to educate the educators. Combine 3D, 3C programs into the regular learning process, not as a separate course. And sharing data with the system. I didn't mention it, but it's very important. It's part of the management system. Once all the system, the teacher, the school, the parents, the municipalities, and the Ministry of Education have access to the data, have knowledge what the students are really doing inside virtual world, what is happening in this 3D gaming look-alike learning. They are all taking it very seriously and actually jumping into the water. So. First of all, this is the presentation. We'll take some question now, and I saw a question about multi-choice exams and so on. We are giving tools for that as well for teachers, so they can keep some of their, sorry if there is teachers here, bad habit, but still examining the students inside the virtual worlds. So we have, I think, a few minutes more if there. Oh, sorry, just.
Okay, thank you so much, Ori. I will try to sum up. So we talked, I've talked at the beginning of the presentation about our perception of teaching, the 3D, 3C, and we saw that it allows quality simulation of learning patterns for students in the 21st century. We talked about the unique platform of Eureka World that allows the interaction between the teachers and educators and the community that Ori elaborated so beautifully, along with the material means. This interaction we have to take into consideration and to understand that these interactions is crucial to provide opportunity for every actor to maximize his potential and to create a real life, as we believe, full of satisfaction, value, and happiness. We talked about the ecosystem, and I will sum up and say that ecosystem demands us to be aware of its existence and be aware of all actors involved inside and outside school that may potentially impact on entrepreneurial learning, and also build a collaborative project with and between all these actors. It is the interaction of all internal and external actors that will be a key success factor for effective entrepreneurship education ecosystem and for professional capabilities which lead to actualizing the actor's potential. Now, if you will have some questions for us, we will be more than happy to reply.
I will start with reply to the question that popped up a minute ago about Minecraft and other virtual world. We have some experience with other virtual worlds. First of all, with Minecraft, we really like this environment. Usually it fits for a younger children with less skills. Forgive me, Minecraft. But as we see it, usually in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, students looking for more complicated environment, and Minecraft is less fit for our goals, but for younger age, it's a wonderful environment. We tried to do some work with Unity, with forgot the name, in SimSpace. The problem so far with Unity virtual world, for our perspective, is the sharing content creation. They are still separating between the creation and the virtual world, and we are very focusing on letting the students and teachers working and creating together inside the virtual world. Okay, so if you have a question, I hope I answered the question. Okay, thank you. So, if there are no any other question, or there is, thank you very, very much for your time and your effort to listen to our journey to build the ecosystem. You are more than welcome to send me an email or start a discussion regarding this project.
Thank you so much for your participation. It was a pleasure being here with you.
Thank you, Dani.